The Pacific dawn broke cold and gray over Coronado Beach, painting the waves in shades of gunmetal and slate. Lieutenant Sloane Garrett's boots hit the sand in steady rhythm, her breath forming small clouds in the 50-degree air. Beside her, keeping perfect pace, ran Odin, 85 pounds of Belgian Malinois, all muscle and purpose. 5:30 in the morning, the time when warriors wake while the world sleeps. Sloane's auburn hair whipped behind her in a tight ponytail as she pushed into mile 3. Her steel-gray eyes focused on the horizon, but her mind drifted somewhere else, somewhere 27 years in the past. She could hear her father's voice carried on the wind like a ghost from the desert. Never quit, Sloane. When your body screams to stop, when your mind begs for mercy, you push harder. That's what makes a warrior. Commander Thaddeus Garrett had taught her that, had lived it, had died for it. Sloane's hand instinctively touched the small photo in her chest pocket. Even through the fabric of her PT shirt, she could feel its outline. Her father in his dress whites, that proud smile, those same gray eyes. Taken 3 days before Desert Storm, 3 weeks before the official report said friendly fire had taken him. She'd been 6 months old. Odin sensed the shift in her mood dogs always do. He pressed closer to her leg, his shoulder touching her thigh, offering comfort the only way he knew how, pure, unwavering presence. "Good boy," Sloane whispered, her voice tight. They reached the 6-mile marker, a weathered piece of driftwood driven into the sand, their turnaround point. Sloane stopped, hands on her knees, sucking in the salt air. Odin sat immediately, tongue lolling, eyes bright with intelligence that seemed almost human. 20 yards away, half buried in the dunes, stood a memorial stone. Gray granite, simple inscription. Sloane walked to it like she did every morning, like a pilgrimage, like penance for a sin she hadn't committed but inherited nonetheless. Commander Thaddeus Garrett, 1961 to 1991. True warrior. She knelt, touching the cold stone. Odin pressed against her side, silent sentinel. "Morning, Dad," she said softly. "Still fighting your fight?" The sun crested the horizon, turning the Pacific into liquid gold. Somewhere out there, beyond the waves, beyond the endless blue, that's where her father had gone. Kuwait, Iraq, the desert that swallowed men whole and gave back only dust and lies. Sloane stood, brushed sand from her knees, and ran back. Always forward, never quit. Master Chief Petty Officer Elijah Ironside Thorne's compound sat 3 miles inland, a fortress disguised as a California ranch house. Sloane pulled her Jeep into the gravel driveway at 0700 precisely. Odin leaped from the passenger seat before she'd fully stopped, already heading for the door. "You smell the bacon, don't you?" Sloane called after him. The dog's tail wagged, the only answer needed. Weekly breakfast with Ironside, a tradition that started when Sloane joined the teams 5 years ago. The old man had sought her out specifically, had requested her for K9 handler training, had taken her under his wing without explanation. It was only later she learned why. He'd served with her father. The door opened before she could knock. Ironside filled the frame, 6'2", 200 pounds of gristle and scar tissue, with a gray beard that would make a Viking jealous. At 67, he moved like a man 20 years younger. The eyes gave away his age, though. They'd seen too much, carried too many ghosts. "Lieutenant," he rumbled, stepping aside, "you're 30 seconds late." "Traffic," Sloane lied. "Bullshit, you were at the memorial again." He closed the door behind her. "Can't live in the past, kid," says the man who keeps a shrine to 3 wars in his living room. Ironside's laugh was like gravel in a cement mixer. Touché. The living room was indeed a museum. Photographs covered every wall, young men in green and tan in desert camouflage. Grenada 1983, Panama 1989, Desert Storm 1991, faces frozen in time, some still living, many not. In the center above the fireplace hung a photograph Sloane had seen 1,000 times, but still couldn't look at without feeling something crack inside her chest. Her father, 29 years old, standing beside a younger Ironside. both of them grinning M16s slung across their backs, Kuwait desert stretching behind them like an ocean of sand. 3 days before Thaddeus Garrett died. "Coffee's fresh," Ironside said, moving to the kitchen. "Eggs are scrambled, bacon's crispy, biscuits are from a can because I'm not Jesus." Sloan followed him, Odin padding behind. The kitchen was military precise. Everything in its place, angles squared away, no wasted space. On the counter, partially disassembled, lay an M1911 pistol. The finish was worn smooth, the grips marked with notches. "Cleaning day?" Sloan asked. "Every day's cleaning day." Ironside poured coffee into 2 mugs, black, no sugar, strong enough to strip paint. "This particular lady has been with me since Grenada. Carried her through Panama, through the desert, through more shit than I care to remember. You don't abandon weapons that saved your life." He slid a plate across the table. Sloan sat and Odin immediately took position beside her chair, close enough to touch but not begging. Professional, even off-duty. Ironside eased into his chair with a slight wince, old injuries making themselves known as they always did in the morning. "Knee again?" Sloan asked. "Hip. Took shrapnel in Panama. Doctors said I'd be in a wheelchair by 50. He forked eggs into his mouth. "Proved those bastards wrong." They ate in comfortable silence for a moment. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, illuminating dust motes that danced like tiny spirits. On the windowsill sat a compass, brass tarnished, old enough to be an antique. Sloan nodded toward it. "Is that the Grenada compass?" "The very same." Ironside wiped his mouth with a napkin. "October 1983. Navigation equipment shit the bed during insertion. Had nothing but that compass, the stars, and pure spite. Brought 6 men home who shouldn't have made it." He stood, retrieved the compass, and placed it on the table between them. The brass caught the light, showing decades of scratches and dents. "Your generation has GPS," Ironside said, sitting back down. "Satellites tracking your every move, computers calculating your routes, technology doing the thinking for you. My generation had this, the stars and our wits." He tapped the compass. "When the technology fails, and it always fails, eventually old school knowledge saves your ass." Sloan picked up the compass, feeling its weight. Solid, real, reliable. "You ever going to teach me celestial navigation properly?" she asked. "Been trying for 5 years. You keep telling me GPS is faster. GPS is faster. GPS can be jammed, stars can't." Ironside leaned back, studying her. "What's eating you this morning? And don't say nothing. I can read you like a damn book." Sloan set down her fork. Outside, birds sang in the California sunshine. Inside, ghosts whispered in the shadows. "Do you ever wonder," she said slowly, "what really happened that day, February 28, 1991? Ironside's expression didn't change, but something flickered behind his eyes, something old and painful. "Every day," he said quietly. "The official report says friendly fire, artillery strike from adjacent unit, wrong coordinates, tragic accident." Sloan's voice hardened. "You were there, 200 yards away. You heard everything on the radio?" "I heard enough." "Then tell me the truth, not the sanitized version they put in the files." Ironside was silent for a long moment. His hand moved unconsciously to touch a photograph on the wall. Thaddeus Garrett, forever young, forever smiling. "Your father," he began, voice rough, "was the best operator I ever trained. Smart, tough, dedicated. But more than that, he was honest. Honest to a fault. Couldn't ignore wrongdoing, couldn't look away from injustice. It's what made him a great SEAL. It's what got him killed." Sloan's heart hammered. "What do you mean?" "Week before he died, Thaddeus came to me. Said he'd stumbled onto something. Wouldn't give details, said it was safer if I didn't know. But I saw it in his eyes, fear. Real fear. The kind you feel when you realize your enemy isn't across the battlefield. It's beside you." "Someone on our side," Sloan whispered. "That's what I suspected, never could prove it." The official investigation was quick, too quick. Questions got shut down. My report got buried, and everyone involved in that operation either died, transferred, or retired within 6 months. Ironside's jaw clenched. I've spent 27 years wondering if I could have saved him. If I'd pushed harder, fought louder. It's not your fault. Maybe, maybe not. He met her eyes. But I made a promise to your father. Last time I saw him the night before that mission, he said, if anything happens to me, watch over Sloane. Make sure she knows her old man died for something that mattered. So that's what I've done. That's what I'll keep doing until they plant me next to him. Sloane's throat tightened. She reached across the table, squeezed his weathered hand. Thank you, she managed. Ironside squeezed back, then cleared his throat, roughly pulling away. Emotions were ammunition to be rationed carefully. Now eat your damn eggs before they get cold, he growled. And after breakfast, we're running ballistic calculations. I don't care how good you are with that fancy computer scope, you're going to learn to calculate bullet drop in your head. Like men did in the real wars. Sloane smiled despite herself. Yes, Master Chief. Odin, sensing the mood lightening, placed his head on Sloane's knee. She scratched behind his ears, absently feeling the powerful muscles beneath the fur, the absolute trust radiating from the animal. This dog would die for her without hesitation. She prayed it would never come to that. The SEAL training compound at Coronado sprawled across acres of California coastline, a maze of obstacle courses, shooting ranges, and specialized training facilities. At 0900, Sloane stood in the K9 demonstration area watching 20 fresh-faced SEAL candidates file in. Young. So damn young. Most barely 24. Had she ever been that young? Listen up. Sloane's voice cut through the morning air like a whip crack. 20 heads snapped to attention. I'm Lieutenant Sloane Garrett, K9 handler and training coordinator. For the next 2 hours, you're going to learn why military working dogs are worth their weight in gold. Questions. A hand raised. Tall kid, cocky grin muscles that suggested he'd spent more time in the gym than in actual combat. Yes, Sloane said. Ma'am, with all respect, the phrase that preceded exactly 0 respectful statements. Can a dog really make a difference in modern warfare? I mean, we have drones, sensors, all kinds of technology. Name, Sloane interrupted. Petty Officer Carson, ma'am. Petty Officer Carson, you see that mock-up building behind me? Carson looked. A 3-story concrete structure, windows dark, designed to simulate urban warfare environments. Yes, ma'am. Inside that building, I've hidden an IED. Standard configuration, 5 pounds of C4 pressure plate trigger anti-tamper device. Your fancy drones can't detect it. Your sensors won't find it. Your technology is worthless. Sloane gestured to Odin sitting calmly at her side. But he can find it in under 60 seconds. Care to bet your life that I'm wrong? Carson's cocky grin faltered. I'll take that as a no. Sloane turned to Odin. Fast. The transformation was instant. Odin went from calm companion to focused weapon in a heartbeat. He moved toward the building with purpose, nose to the ground, every sense engaged. The candidates watched in silence. 47 seconds. Odin sat abruptly in front of a doorway, staring at a specific spot on the floor. His passive alert sitting and staring, the signal that meant, found it. Don't touch. You're welcome. Sloane walked to the spot, knelt, and gently lifted a floor panel. Beneath it, exactly where Odin indicated, sat a training IED, inert but realistic. This, Sloane said, standing, is why dogs matter. Technology fails, batteries die, systems get jammed. But a properly trained K9 will find explosives in conditions where nothing else can. They'll locate enemy combatants by scent. They'll track fleeing targets across miles of terrain. And they'll do it all while being loyal, dedicated, and utterly fearless. She looked at Carson specifically. A dog won't hesitate. A dog won't freeze. And a dog will die protecting you without a second thought. Can you say the same about your equipment? Carson had nothing to say to that. For the next 90 minutes, Sloane put Odin through his paces. Explosive detection, C4, Semtex, Anfopetin, each one found within seconds. Attack demonstrations, Odin hitting padded suit trainers with enough force to drop a grown man. Obedience under distraction, gunfire explosions, chaos all around, but Odin remained focused on Sloane's commands. The candidates watched with growing respect, but it was the final demonstration that left them speechless. "Stellan," Sloane commanded. "Stop!" Odin froze mid-stride, one paw raised. "Blabe, stay!" Sloane walked away 50 yards out of sight. 1 minute passed. 2, 5. The candidates shifted uncomfortably. Odin didn't move, didn't even twitch. Absolute obedience, absolute trust at the 10-minute mark. Sloane called from behind the building, "Higher." Odin broke his stay and sprinted to her like a furry missile, reaching her in seconds. She rewarded him with a tug toy, and they played for 30 seconds payment for perfect performance. When Sloane returned with Odin trotting beside her, every candidate looked at her differently. Respect had replaced skepticism. "Questions?" she asked. No hands raised. "Good. Dismissed." As the candidates filed out, one lingered. Petty Officer Carson approached, slightly sheepish. "Ma'am, I apologize. That was impressive." "Don't apologize to me. Apologize to Odin." Sloane gestured to the dog. "He's the one who just proved you wrong." Carson looked down at Odin, then did something that surprised her. He knelt and extended his hand. "Sorry, boy. You're one hell of an operator." Odin sniffed his hand once, then licked it. Forgiveness granted. Carson stood, nodded to Sloane, and jogged after his class. Sloane watched him go, feeling something like satisfaction, maybe hope. "You're getting soft," a voice said behind her. Sloane turned. Commander Dalton Price stood 10 feet away, hands in his pockets, that practiced smile on his face. Her commanding officer, 52, fit but not hard, with the look of someone who'd spent more time behind a desk than in the field. "Sir," Sloane acknowledged. "Good demonstration. The candidates needed to see that." Price walked closer, studied Odin. "How's our boy doing?" "Performing at peak efficiency, ready for deployment." "Good, good." Price seemed distracted, checking his watch. "Listen, I need you in my office at 1300, mission brief, time sensitive." Something in his tone made Sloane's instincts prick up. Too casual, too vague. "Can you give me a preview, sir?" "Classified until briefing. But bring your go bag. You'll be wheels up by 1800. He turned to leave, then paused. "And Sloane, this one's important, real important. Don't be late." He walked away before she could respond. Sloane looked down at Odin. The dog stared after Price, head tilted slightly, a soft growl rumbling in his chest. "You don't like him either, huh?" Sloane murmured. Odin's growl deepened. "Dogs know. They always know." At 1300 precisely, Sloane stood in Commander Price's office. Odin at her side. The room smelled like coffee and old paper. Behind Price's desk hung photographs, handshake with the Senator Award ceremony at the Pentagon, Price smiling in every single one. No combat photos, no field pictures, career officer, Sloane thought, not a warrior. "Sit," Price said, gesturing to a chair. Sloane sat. Odin lay at her feet. Price opened a folder, slid photographs across the desk. Sloane studied them. Satellite imagery of a compound, industrial facility. Lots of buildings, high walls, remote location. "Imperial Valley," Price said. 87 miles east of here. Abandoned manufacturing facility, or so it appears. 48 hours ago, it became a crisis. He slid more photos. 3 men in civilian clothes, bound and kneeling, guns pointed at their heads. American petroleum engineers working on a pipeline project near the border. Cartel grabbed them during a supply run. Demands are straightforward: $10 million or they execute all 3. We have 16 hours until the deadline. Sloane frowned. Cartel kidnappings are FBI jurisdiction. Why are we involved? Because one of those engineers has critical security clearance. He knows things that can't be allowed to fall into enemy hands. Price leaned forward. "This is a direct action mission. 6-man team plus you and your K9. In neutralize hostiles, extract HVETs out. Clean and quiet." Sloane studied the satellite imagery more carefully. Something felt wrong. The compound layout, the isolation, the convenient timing. Intel confidence level, she asked. High. We have eyes on target. Current count is 12 to 15 hostiles, lightly armed, standard cartel security. ROE. Weapons free. Anyone inside that compound is hostile. No quarter, no prisoners. We send a message. Sloane's frown deepened. That wasn't standard procedure. ROE, that permissive, suggested either perfect intelligence or complete desperation. Who's team lead? Lieutenant Dax Holloway. You'll work under his command. Price closed the folder. Questions. About 100, Sloane thought, but something about Price's demeanor shut them down. This wasn't a discussion, this was an order. No, sir. Good. Team briefing at 1500. Wheels up at 1800. Dismissed. Sloane stood, rendered a salute that Price returned with practiced precision, and left. Outside, the California sun seemed too bright, too cheerful for what she'd just been told. Odin pressed against her leg, sensing her unease. Yeah, she muttered. I feel it too. She needed to talk to Ironside. The old SEAL answered on the first ring. You're calling in the middle of the day. Either someone's dead or something's wrong. Ironside's voice crackled through the phone. Mission brief. Hostage rescue, Imperial Valley. Wheels up in 5 hours. Sloane paced her small apartment, Odin watching her with concerned eyes. Something feels off. Off how? Compressed timeline. Vague intel, ROE that's too permissive. She stopped pacing, and Price seemed nervous, like he was reading a script. Silence on the other end. Then, what's the target location? Abandoned industrial facility, remote, high walls, perfect isolation. More silence. Longer this time. Ironside, come to my compound, now, before your team brief. His voice had changed, hard, urgent. Don't tell anyone where you're going. What's wrong? Just get here, and bring the mission folder if you can. The line went dead. Sloane stared at her phone, heart rate climbing. Ironside didn't spook easily. 30 years of combat, countless operations, nerves like titanium cables. For him to sound like that? She grabbed her keys. Odin, load up. 20 minutes later, she pulled into Ironside's driveway. The old SEAL stood on the porch, arms crossed, face grim as winter. Inside, he said. Now. In the living room, Sloane handed him the mission folder. Ironside spread the contents across his coffee table, satellite photos, intel summaries, timeline projections. His jaw clenched tighter with each page. This, he said finally, voice like gravel, is a setup. What? Ironside stabbed a finger at the satellite imagery. I've seen this before, February 1991, Kuwait. Your father got orders for a routine weapons cache inspection. Small team, compressed timeline, thin intel. Same pattern. He looked up, eyes hard. 2 days later, he was dead. Sloane's blood went cold. Coincidence, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. I don't believe in coincidence. Not like this. Ironside moved to his desk, pulled out a weathered journal, flipped through pages covered in precise handwriting. Here, February 26, 1991, day before your father's mission. I wrote, Thaddeus got orders today. Something's wrong. Intel too thin, timeline too tight. Told him to be careful. He laughed, said I worry too much. He closed the journal. Next entry is March 2nd, funeral arrangements. Sloane sat down heavily. Odin immediately came to her, placed his head in her lap. She stroked his fur mechanically, mind racing. If this is a setup, she said slowly, who's setting me up and why? That I don't know. But I know what you need to do. Ironside went to his desk, retrieved something. The Grenada compass. He pressed it into Sloane's hands. Take this. When technology fails, old school knowledge saves lives. If things go wrong, and I think they will, you remember your training. Trust your instincts, and get the hell out. Sloane looked at the compass, brass and history and survival. I can't refuse the mission. They'll court-martial me. Better court-martial than dead. Ironside gripped her shoulders. But if you're going in, you go smart. I'm teaching you emergency exfil routes right now, and you memorize every word. For the next hour, Ironside spread topographic maps across his kitchen table. He traced routes with his finger-marked waypoints, calculated distances. Imperial Valley is desert, harsh, unforgiving, but navigable if you know how. If you have to run, you head northwest, these coordinates. He circled a spot on the map. Old mining road hasn't been used in 20 years. Follow it 12 miles, you'll reach Highway 78. From there, you can reach civilization. 12 miles on foot through desert, Sloan said. How long? For you, 4 hours, maybe 5. Longer with injuries. He looked at Odin. The dog can make it. Belgian Malinois are endurance machines. Sloan studied the map, burning details into memory. Terrain features, water sources, landmarks that would be visible at night. What about stars? She asked. If I lose the compass? Ironside smiled grimly. Now you're thinking. Look here. He pulled out a star chart, pointed to constellations. Polaris, North Star, always north. Find it, you find direction. Orion's belt rises in the east, sets in the west. Follow those, even without a compass, you can navigate. He tapped her forehead. All the technology in the world won't help you when the power dies. But knowledge, that's forever. Sloan nodded, committing everything to memory. One more thing. Ironside retrieved something from a drawer. A small device about the size of a matchbox. This is a personal locator beacon. Military-grade encrypted transmission. You hit this button, I receive your coordinates. No one else. Just me. Ironside, I can't take military equipment on. It's not military, I bought it civilian market. Untraceable. He pressed it into her hands. Hide it somewhere secure if you need extraction and can't trust your command. You signal me. I'll come for you. Understood. Sloan looked at the beacon, then at Ironside. This man who'd served with her father, who'd spent 27 years watching over her from the shadows, who'd just confirmed her worst fears about the mission. Understood. He pulled her into a fierce hug. Your father was my brother. You're my family. Nothing happens to you on my watch. Sloan hugged him back, feeling the strength in his old warrior's frame. I'll be careful. You be more than careful. You be smart, suspicious, and ready to run. He released her, stepped back. And you come home. Promise me. I promise. She meant it when she said it. She had no idea how hard that promise would be to keep. The team briefing at 1500 went exactly as Sloan feared, too smooth, too rehearsed, too many details that felt manufactured rather than gathered. Lieutenant Dax Holloway ran the brief with crisp efficiency. 33 decorated, experienced. But something in his eyes bothered Sloan. Too confident, like a man who knew the outcome before the game started. Mission parameters are straightforward, Holloway said, pointing at a large screen showing the target compound. 6-man direct action team plus Lieutenant Garrett and K9. Insertion via helicopter, 2 clicks from target. Tactical approach on foot. Breach at 2200 utilizing cover of darkness. He clicked through slides. Building layouts, guard rotations, extraction routes. Current intelligence suggests 12 to 15 hostiles, lightly armed, standard security protocols. We go in hard and fast. Odin will clear for explosives. We neutralize all threats, extract the HVTs, and we're back in the air within 90 minutes. One of the team members raised a hand. Rules of engagement. Weapons free. Anyone in that compound is hostile. We take no chances, no prisoners, clean sweep. Sloan watched the other team members. 5 SEALs, all younger than her, all eager, all trusting that their leadership had given them good intelligence. She wanted to stand up and scream that this was wrong, that the pattern matched her father's death, that they were walking into something darker than a simple rescue. But she had no proof, only instinct, only Ironside's warning and her own screaming gut. Lieutenant Garrett, Holloway's voice snapped her attention back. Your K9 will take point on explosive detection, standard sweep pattern, room-by-room clearing. You stay behind the primary assault element. Let the shooters do their job. Translation. Stay out of the way. Yes, sir, Sloan said evenly. Holloway studied her for a moment as if sensing her skepticism, then moved on. The brief concluded at 1600. Gear check at 1700, wheels up at 1800, 2 hours to prepare for a mission that felt like a death sentence. Sloane returned to her apartment, checked her equipment with obsessive detail. HK 416 rifle, Glock 19 sidearm, tactical vest, night vision, medical kit. Everything squared away, everything perfect. Then she added items that weren't on the official gear list. Ironside's compass tucked into an inside pocket. The emergency beacon hidden in a false bottom of her medical pouch. And a small photograph. Her father in his dress whites smiling at a camera 27 years ago. Sloane slipped it into her chest pocket right over her heart. "For luck," she whispered. Odin sat watching her, head tilted. He knew something was different. Dogs always know. "Big mission tonight, boy." Sloane knelt, scratched behind his ears. "Might get messy. You stay close to me, understand? Don't care what the lieutenant says. You stay on me." Odin licked her face, his version of Roger that. At 17:30, Sloane's phone buzzed, text from Ironside. "Be smart, be safe. Come home. I'll be waiting." She texted back, "Always." At 1800, the MH-60M Blackhawk lifted off from Coronado carrying 6 SEALs, 1 K9 handler, 1 Belgian Malinois, and a secret that would cost people their lives before the night was done. The sun set behind them, painting the desert in shades of blood and gold. Sloane stared out the helicopter window, watching California disappear beneath them. Beside her, Odin sat calm and professional, strapped into his special harness. Lieutenant Holloway's voice crackled through the headset. 30 minutes to insertion. Check weapons, check gear. We go in silent, we go in fast. Questions." No one spoke. Sloane's hand touched the compass in her pocket, then the photograph over her heart, then Odin's head, old school knowledge. Father's legacy, loyal companion. Whatever came next, she had those 3 things, and before this night was over, she'd need all of them to survive. The helicopter banked east, heading into darkness. Below, the Imperial Valley stretched out like a vast ocean of nothing. No lights, no civilization, just desert and secrets. 20 minutes, Holloway announced. Sloane chambered around in her HK 416. The metallic snap seemed too loud even over the helicopter's roar. This was it. No turning back now. Whatever waited in that compound, cartel kidnappers or something worse. She'd face it with steel in her spine and fire in her blood. She was Sloane Garrett, daughter of Commander Thaddeus Garrett, warrior, SEAL, and she would never quit. The helicopter descended into the dark desert below, carrying them toward their fate. The Blackhawk touched down 2 kilometers from the target compound at 21:45. The desert night wrapped around them like a cold fist temperature, already dropping toward 40 degrees, the kind of cold that seeps through gear and settles in bones. Sloane was first out after Holloway boots hitting packed earth with practiced silence. Odin leaped down beside her, instantly alert, nose testing the wind. The helicopter's rotors whipped sand into swirling clouds that stung exposed skin and turned the world into a granular haze. Within 30 seconds, the Blackhawk lifted off, banking hard west. The sound faded quickly, swallowed by the vast emptiness of the Imperial Valley. Silence rushed in to fill the void, profound, heavy, oppressive. 6 SEALs plus Sloane formed up in tactical column. Holloway took point night vision down, weapon up. The others fell into practiced intervals, 5 meters between each operator, enough space to avoid clustered casualties, but close enough for mutual support. Sloane took her position in the middle of the formation with Odin. Standard doctrine for K9 handlers, protected by shooters front and rear. The logic was sound. Dogs were force multipliers. Lose the dog, lose capabilities. But something in Sloane's gut screamed that doctrine wouldn't matter tonight. The moon was a waning crescent, barely illuminating the landscape. Through her AN/PVS-31 night vision binoculars, the world glowed green and ghostly. Scrub brush cast long shadows. Rocky outcroppings loomed like frozen sentinels. The terrain was broken, treacherous, perfect for twisted ankles and broken legs, perfect for ambushes. Holloway's hand signal. "Move out." The team advanced in silence. No radio chatter, hand signals only, professional disciplined exactly as trained. The only sounds were boots on hardpack, the whisper of tactical gear, the soft panting of Odin keeping pace beside Sloan. 1 kilometer passed, then 2. The compound appeared in the distance, a dark cluster of buildings, surrounded by high concrete walls. No lights visible, no movement. It looked abandoned, dead, exactly as advertised. But Sloane's instincts screamed otherwise. Holloway raised a fist. The team took a knee. Sloane pressed close to a rocky outcropping, Odin beside her. She could feel the dog's tension through his tactical vest muscles, coiled ready to explode into action. He sensed it too. Something wrong. Something dangerous. Holloway spoke into his radio voice, barely a whisper. Ghost Rider, this is Reaper 6, in position for final approach. Request confirmation of hostile count. Static. Then Reaper 6 Ghost Rider, count remains 12 to 15. Proceed with caution. Roger. Beginning approach. The team moved forward again, slower now, more cautious. They were within 500 meters of the compound walls. Close enough to be seen if anyone was watching with night vision. Close enough to be engaged if anyone had heavy weapons. Close enough to die before they knew what hit them. Sloane's hand found Odin's collar. She gave the silent signal, scout ahead. Odin moved forward 20 meters, a gray ghost in the darkness. He worked the wind with his nose quartering back and forth, searching for scents that didn't belong. He stopped abruptly, head low, ears back, body rigid. The alert posture that meant explosives. Sloane moved to him quickly, took a knee, studied the ground. At first she saw nothing, just packed earth and scattered rocks. But then she noticed the pattern. Slight depressions in the soil, too regular, too deliberate. She pulled out a small flashlight, cupped it to minimize signature, risked a quick flash of white light. There, barely visible, a wire. Military-grade det cord, almost invisible against the desert floor. She traced the wire with her eyes, followed it to a pressure plate buried under sand. Followed it further to a charge concealed in a rock pile. Not one IED, a whole chain of them, daisy-chained together, creating a kill zone that would turn this approach into a meat grinder. Sloane keyed her radio. Reaper 6, this is Handler. IEDs confirmed. Main approach is wired. Pattern suggests military-grade placement. Holloway's voice came back sharp. Clarify military grade. Spacing is consistent with U.S. Army doctrine. 3 to 5 meter intervals, professional placement with anti-tamper devices. This isn't cartel work. This is someone with training. Silence on the radio. Too long. Then Holloway, Roger. We breach from alternate entry, southwest corner. Move. The team shifted, circling wide around the IED field. But Sloane's mind raced. IEDs this professional. Placement this precise. Cartel didn't have this capability. Couldn't maintain this discipline. Someone else was in that compound. Someone who knew exactly what they were doing. They reached the southwest wall. Concrete 12 feet high, topped with rusted razor wire. No guards visible. No cameras. The entrance was a service door, metal, old enough to show rust at the hinges. Too easy. Holloway stacked the team 3 seals on each side of the door, weapons ready. He looked at Sloane, gestured forward. Your turn. Sloane approached with Odin. The dog sniffed the doorframe carefully, moved to the hinges, the threshold. Then sat and stared at a spot 6 inches to the left of the door handle. Passive alert. Explosives detected. Sloane examined the area with her flashlight. There, concealed in a crack in the concrete. A pressure plate trigger. Open the door, complete the circuit, detonate the charge hidden inside the wall. Anyone breaching would be vaporized. Doors wired, Sloane whispered into her radio. Pressure plate trigger. C4 charge in the wall cavity. We breach here, we die. Holloway's jaw clenched, visible even in the green glow of night vision. Third entry point, north side, now. They moved again, circling, searching. Every entry point they checked, Odin alerted. Every door, every window, every possible breach wired with explosives. Professional, thorough, military precise. This was not a cartel safe house. This was a fortress. Finally, on the fourth attempt, they found an entry that Odin cleared. A service entrance half buried in sand, partially collapsed, almost invisible. The lock was broken, the door slightly ajar. Too convenient. But they were running out of time and options. Holloway made the decision. We go, slow and careful. Odin leads. Clear every room before we advance. By the numbers. The team filed through the entrance one at a time. Sloan and Odin went third behind Holloway and his point man. The interior was dark, musty, smelling of oil and rust and something else. Something chemical that made Sloan's nose wrinkle. Odin moved forward, clearing the first hallway. Empty. They advanced, reached a junction. Odin checked both directions, then indicated left. Clear that way. Something wrong to the right. They went left. The compound interior was a maze, hallways branching into more hallways, rooms opening into storage areas, industrial equipment covered in dust and cobwebs. It looked abandoned, dead for years. But the IEDs outside were fresh. Someone was maintaining this place. Someone was waiting. They cleared 3 rooms, 4, 5, all empty. Sloan's tension ratcheted higher with each vacant space. Where were the hostiles? Where were the hostages? Where was anyone? Then Odin alerted again. Different posture this time, head up, ears forward, focused on a closed door at the end of a hallway. Not explosives, people. Holloway signaled the team. Stack on the door. Prepare to breach. He looked at Sloan, raised 3 fingers. 3, 2, 1. They hit the door with a pry bar. Metal shrieked. The door crashed open. Seals flooded through, weapons up, scanning for targets. The room beyond was lit, bare bulbs hanging from the ceiling, harsh white light after hours of green night vision. Sloan blinked, eyes adjusting. 3 men knelt in the center of the room, hands zip-tied behind their backs, duct tape over their mouths, the hostages. But something was wrong. The men weren't sweating despite obvious stress, no visible injuries despite supposed 3 days of captivity. Their clothes were too clean, their body language too controlled. And the blonde one, maybe 40 years old, looked directly at Sloan. His eyes weren't pleading. They were warning. Get out. Run. Trap. Hostages secured, Holloway reported into his radio. Beginning extraction. That's when the doors slammed shut. Heavy steel doors on pneumatic systems. Perfectly synchronized. Crashing closed on all 4 walls of the room with the finality of a tomb ceiling. Floodlights ignited industrial halogens, blinding, searing into retinas already adapted to darkness. Sloan threw up an arm, squinting against the painful glare. And then they came. Not from the doors, from hidden panels in the walls, from concealed hatches in the floor. From the ceiling itself. 30 men, maybe more. Professional gear plate carriers, Cry precision combat uniforms, no insignia. Weapons raised, FN Scars, HK-400 and SINs, expensive military-grade hardware, not cartel, private military contractors. Contact, Holloway screamed into his radio. Ambush, we are compromised, Ghost Rider abort insertion. Radio response static, hissing, crackling static, communications jammed. The gunfight erupted like a volcano. Muzzle flashes strobed the room. The sound was deafening, overlapping automatic fire ricochets screaming off concrete, brass casings raining like metal hail. The SEALs returned fire with disciplined aggression. Controlled bursts, aimed shots, professional even in chaos. But they were outnumbered 5 to 1, caught in a kill zone, surrounded by shooters with superior positioning. Sloan dove behind industrial machinery as rounds tore through the air where her head had been. She landed hard, shoulder-slamming concrete, HK-416 clutched tight. Beside her, Odin pressed close, waiting for commands. Stay, Sloan ordered. Down. Odin flattened, making himself small. Good boy, smart boy. A SEAL to her left, she didn't know his name, hadn't had time to learn names, took 3 rounds to the chest. Body armor caught 2. The third found the gap under his arm. He went down screaming, clutching the wound, blood pumping between his fingers. Another SEAL returned fire, dropped 1 contractor, then 2. But for every enemy that fell, 2 more appeared. Holloway fought like a demon, reloaded smoothly, put rounds on target with mechanical precision. But even he couldn't fight mathematics. They were being overwhelmed. Sloan fired from behind her cover. Dropped one contractor climbing through a wall hatch. Shifted aim. Dropped another. Her training took over. Breathe, aim, squeeze, don't jerk the trigger. Each shot deliberate, each one counting. But it wasn't enough. A flashbang detonated near the center of the room. Blinding light, deafening concussion. Sloane's world turned white, then gray, then spinning. Her ears rang with a high-pitched whine that drowned out everything else. Through the disorientation, she saw SEALs going down. Not dead, taken alive. Contractors swarming them with overwhelming numbers. Zip ties appearing. Weapons confiscated. Professional. Coordinated. They wanted prisoners. Why Sloane tried to orient herself, tried to find an exit. But the room was spinning. Her equilibrium was shattered. She stumbled, caught herself against machinery. A voice cut through the chaos. Amplified, speaking through a PA system. "Lieutenant Sloane Garrett, we know you're here. Make this easy. Surrender and your men live. Fight and they die. Your choice. 10 seconds. American accent, southern drawl, calm, like discussing the weather. Sloane's blood turned to ice. They knew her name. This wasn't about the hostages. This was about her. 5 seconds, Lieutenant. Holloway looked at her across the room. Blood running down his face from a scalp wound. 3 contractors holding him down. He shook his head frantically. Don't do it. Don't surrender. But if she didn't, they'd execute the team. She could see it in the contractors' positioning. Weapons to heads, fingers on triggers, ready to kill on command. Time's up. Sloane stood, raising her hands. I surrender, don't shoot. The gunfire stopped. Silence crashed down, broken only by ringing ears and labored breathing. Contractors moved in on her position, 6 of them, professional, cautious, treating her like a legitimate threat despite her raised hands. They zip-tied her wrists behind her back, confiscated her weapons, HK-416 Glock 19, her knife, even the small backup piece in her ankle holster, thorough, professional. One contractor grabbed Odin's collar. The dog snarled, snapped at his hand. The contractor jerked back. Don't! Sloane shouted. He'll tear your hand off. Control your dog or we shoot it. Sloane's heart hammered. Odin Platts down. Odin hesitated, every instinct screaming to protect his handler. But training overrode instinct. He dropped to his belly, still snarling. Good boy, Sloane whispered. Easy, easy. They muzzled him, put him in a tactical collar with a shock capability. Sloane wanted to scream, wanted to fight, wanted to kill every man touching her dog. But she couldn't. Not yet. The voice came again over the PA. Bring her. They dragged Sloane out of the room, through hallways, past empty spaces, deeper into the compound. Odin was taken another direction. She tried to look back, tried to see where they took him. Move! A rifle butt jabbed her spine. She stumbled forward. They reached a large open space, warehouse area, oil stains on the concrete, rusted industrial equipment pushed against walls, harsh overhead lighting casting sharp shadows. In the center of the space sat a metal chair, bolted to the floor. They shoved Sloane into it, zip-tied her ankles to the chair legs, added another zip-tie binding her chest to the chair back, completely immobilized. And then he walked into the light, mid-40s, 6 feet tall, lean and hard like braided steel, short dark hair going gray at the temples, face weathered by sun and wind and violence. A scar ran from his left eyebrow to his jawline, old white. The kind of scar that came from edged weapons in close combat. He wore civilian clothes, jeans, tactical boots, black t-shirt. No body armor, no weapons visible. But the way he moved suggested he didn't need them. This was a man who could kill with empty hands and had done so many times. He stopped 3 feet from Sloane, studied her with eyes that were pale blue and completely empty of warmth. Lieutenant Sloane Garrett. His southern accent was soft, almost gentle. A gentleman's voice wrapped around a killer's soul. You're the spitting image of your father. Same eyes, same stubborn jaw, same expression he wore right before I killed him. Sloane's world tilted. Who the hell are you? The man smiled. No humor reached his eyes. Colton Blackwood. But your daddy knew me as Reaper. Delta Force back when that meant something. Now I'm private sector. More money, fewer rules. He circled the chair slowly. Predator examining prey. February 28, 1991. Blackwood continued, voice conversational. Kuwait Desert. Your daddy was investigating a weapons cache. Routine patrol or so he thought. But Thaddeus Garrett was too smart, too observant. He noticed things he shouldn't have noticed, asked questions he shouldn't have asked. Sloane's heart hammered against her ribs. You killed my father. I did. No hesitation, no remorse, simple statement of fact. 2 rounds, center mass, watched him go down, watched him bleed out in the sand. He called your name at the end. Sloane, over and over, tell Sloane I love her. Then he died. Rage exploded through Sloane's chest like thermite. She strained against the zip ties, ignoring the plastic cutting into her wrists, drawing blood. I'll kill you, she snarled. I swear to God, I'll kill you. Blackwood laughed. Spirit. I like that. Your father had spirit too, didn't save him. He pulled out a tablet computer, tapped the screen, showed her photographs. Desert landscape, military vehicles, personnel in U.S. uniforms, moving crates, large wooden crates with military stenciling. Operation Desert Shield, Blackwood explained. Summer and fall of 1990, before the shooting started, U.S. shipped massive amounts of weapons and equipment to Saudi Arabia, tanks, artillery, small arms, ammunition, billions of dollars of hardware. He swiped to the next photo, officers in discussion, hands shaking, money changing hands. But some of that hardware never made it to the front. Some of it got diverted, sold on the black market. Iraqi officers were desperate for weapons. They'd pay triple, quadruple market value, made certain people very rich. Another photo. Thaddeus Garrett in the background, clearly unaware he was being photographed, examining documents, taking pictures with a small camera. Your father discovered the operation, found the paper trail, got evidence. He was going to blow the whistle, expose generals, colonels, a whole network of corruption. Blackwood's expression hardened. So they hired me, paid me very well, told me to make it look like combat casualty. Friendly fire was convenient. Happens in war. Tragic accident. No investigation required. He leaned close. Sloane could smell his cologne, expensive, refined, the scent of a man who'd gotten rich on murder. I executed your father like a dog, Blackwood whispered, and everyone who knew the truth either died or kept their mouths shut. Ironside suspected, but he's a smart man. He knew pushing too hard would get him killed too, so he stayed quiet, lived with the guilt, and watched you grow up from a distance, knowing he couldn't save your daddy, but maybe he could save you. Tears burned Sloane's eyes, not from sadness, from pure concentrated hate. Why are you telling me this? Because you're about to die, and before you do, I want you to understand why. Blackwood straightened. Your buddy Ironside never stopped digging. Old bastard is persistent. For 27 years, he's been investigating your father's death. Following threads, asking questions, getting too close to truth. He gestured around the warehouse. This operation here, this isn't about cartel hostages. There are no hostages. Those 3 men you saw are international arms buyers. Today's transaction was $75 million in stolen U.S. military hardware, Javelin missiles, Stinger anti-aircraft systems, encrypted communications equipment. Blackwood swiped his tablet again, showed surveillance footage, the 3 hostages in a luxury hotel suite, laughing, drinking champagne, examining weapons specifications. Those men were never kidnapped, Blackwood said. They're buyers, Eastern European black market. They paid to come here. The whole hostage scenario was theater, designed to get you here, to make the mission look legitimate. Sloane's stomach turned. Everything was a lie. The mission, the intelligence, the threat, all fabricated to lure her into a trap. Sloane's blood ran cold. Where did you get U.S. military hardware? Same place I always have. Stolen from U.S. stockpiles, diverted from shipments, provided by corrupt officers who like money more than honor. Blackwood smiled. Like your Commander Price. The bottom fell out of Sloane's stomach. Price is on my payroll, has been for 6 years, provides intelligence on SEAL operations, personnel files, mission parameters. Very useful man. Blackwood pulled out his phone, showed her wire transfer records, millions of dollars, offshore accounts, encrypted communications between Price and Blackwood. "This mission was a trap from the start," Blackwood said. "Designed specifically for you. Minimal team, compressed timeline, thin intelligence. Same pattern that killed your father. Price set it up. I executed it. And now you're here about to die just like Daddy did." Sloan fought down panic, focused on breathing, on thinking, on surviving. "Why me? Why go through all this?" "Because Ironside is too close. He's got evidence. Contacts in naval intelligence. He's building a case, so we send him a message. Kill his protege. Kill the daughter of the man he failed to save. Break him. Make him understand that if he keeps pushing, everyone he loves dies." Blackwood's smile was poisonous. "After you're dead, maybe he'll finally quit." He gestured to two contractors. They approached. "Soften her up. Make her understand the situation. Don't kill her yet. I want her conscious for what comes next." The first punch caught Sloan in the mouth. Her head snapped back, lips split. Blood exploded across her tongue, copper and salt. The second punch hit her cheekbone. Stars burst across her vision. They hit her systematically, face, body, ribs, targeting pain centers, professional beating, designed for maximum pain, minimum permanent damage. They wanted her alive, conscious, aware. Sloan's SEAL training kicked in. Don't scream. Don't give them satisfaction. Breathe through the pain. Focus on something else. She focused on her father's face, on Ironside's lessons, on Odin's loyalty, on survival. A fist drove into her solar plexus. Air exploded from her lungs. She gasped, choking, unable to breathe. Panic clawed at her mind. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Another punch. Ribs cracked. She heard them, felt them, sharp pain like knives in her chest. The contractors stepped back. Sloan hung in the chair, zip ties cutting into her wrists. Blood dripped from her mouth. Her left eye was swelling shut. Every breath sent agony through her fractured ribs. Blackwood approached again, pulled a Sig Sauer P-126 from behind his back. Chambered around. The metallic snap echoed through the warehouse like a death knell. "Any last words?" he asked. Sloan raised her head, met his eyes, spat blood at his feet. "My father was 10 times the warrior you'll ever be," she said hoarsely. "He died with honor. You'll die knowing you were nothing but a mercenary thug." Blackwood's expression didn't change. "Honor doesn't pay for shit, Lieutenant, and your father's honor got him 2 bullets in the back." He raised the pistol, pointed it at Sloan's forehead. "Who's going to save you now?" Blackwood asked softly. "Your team is captured or dead. Your command betrayed you. Your dog is caged. Your mentor is 90 miles away. Who's going to save you?" Sloan's vision narrowed to the barrel of that pistol. Black circle. Tunnel to oblivion. Death staring her in the face. "I'm a Garrett," she whispered. "I'm a SEAL. I don't need saving. I am the weapon." Blackwood smiled. "Just like your daddy, defiant to the end." His finger tightened on the trigger. Somewhere in the compound, a dog howled. Raw, desperate, furious. "Odin." Blackwood paused. "Shut that animal up." But the howling continued. Building, intensifying. The sound of loyalty refusing to be silenced. Blackwood's attention shifted for just a moment. 1 second, maybe 2. Sloan didn't waste it. She'd been working the zip ties since they started beating her. Using blood as lubricant, ignoring the pain of plastic cutting into flesh, creating millimeters of space, not much but enough. She yanked her right hand. The zip tie held, yanked harder, harder, felt skin tear, felt warm blood flow. The zip tie snapped. Sloan's hand was free, but Blackwood was turning back, pistol raising again. No time, no options. Then the lights went out. Total darkness, complete, absolute. Someone had killed the power. In the darkness, Sloan heard Blackwood curse, heard contractors shouting, heard chaos erupting, and heard something else. The sound of 85 pounds of Belgian Malinois hitting a grown man at full sprint. Odin had escaped, and he was hunting. Darkness was absolute, the kind of black that swallows everything, sight, sound, even thought. Sloan's eyes strained uselessly, seeing nothing but the phantom afterimage of Blackwood's pistol aimed at her forehead. Then the screaming started. A man's voice, high and terrified, cut through the darkness. "Something's got me! Something—" The words ended in a wet gurgle, the sound of flesh tearing, a body hitting concrete. Odin. Sloane's heart surged. Her dog, her partner, somehow free, somehow fighting. "Night vision, get your goddamn night vision!" Blackwood's voice cracked like a whip. "Find that animal and kill it!" Sloane worked frantically at the remaining zip ties. Her right hand was free but slick with blood. She bent forward, reaching for her ankles. Fingers fumbling in darkness found the plastic binding her left ankle. Pulled. The tie was thick, strong, designed to hold. Around her, chaos erupted. Contractors stumbling in darkness, weapons fire, wild, undisciplined shooting at sounds. Muzzle flashes strobed the warehouse in snapshots of violence. In those brief illuminations, Sloane saw Odin, a gray ghost, launching at a contractor's throat. Men falling, clutching wounds. Blackwood 20 feet away, reaching for something on his belt. Then darkness again. More screaming. The wet sound of teeth on flesh. A contractor sobbing, begging for help that wouldn't come. Sloane's fingers found purchase on the ankle tie. She yanked with desperate strength. Plastic cut into her fingers. Drew more blood, but the tie loosened fractionally. "Come on, come on!" A flashlight beam lanced through the darkness. Caught Odin mid-leap, muscles bunched, jaws open, eyes reflecting green like a demon's. The contractor holding the light froze in terror. Fatal mistake. Odin hit him like a furry missile. 85 pounds of Belgian Malinois traveling at 30 miles per hour. The impact drove the contractor backward into machinery. His head bounced off metal with a sound like a cracked melon. He went down and didn't move. The flashlight fell, rolled, casting spinning shadows across concrete. In that erratic light, Sloane saw more. 6 contractors down, maybe 7. Odin was methodical, efficient, targeting throats and limbs with surgical precision. Not killing everyone, disabling. Removing threats, buying time. Good boy, perfect boy. The ankle tie snapped. Sloane's left leg was free. She attacked the right ankle binding with renewed urgency. Her ribs screamed with every movement. Her face throbbed where they'd beaten her, but pain was just information. She could process it later. Right now, she needed to move. "Their muzzle flash to your left." Blackwood's voice, directing fire. A burst of automatic gunfire ripped through the darkness. Rounds sparked off concrete. One found flesh, a yelp of pain. Odin's yelp, "No!" Sloane's fingers tore at the final zip tie with frantic strength. It parted. She was free. She rolled off the chair, hit the concrete, hard ribs protesting with white-hot agony, stayed low, scrambled toward where she'd seen the flashlight fall. More gunfire, more shouting. Someone screamed, "It's circling us, the dog is cut off," by snarling, and another wet crunch. Sloane's hand found the flashlight. She grabbed it, switched it off immediately. Couldn't give away her position. She crawled behind industrial machinery, using the darkness as cover. Needed weapons. Needed a plan. Needed Odin's safe. Another muzzle flash. In its brief light, Sloane saw Odin limping. Blood on his right foreleg. Shot but mobile. Still fighting. The dog took down another contractor, then disappeared into shadows. How many contractors left? 15, 20, still overwhelming odds. But at least now she could fight. Sloane's hand touched something metal. A rifle, dropped by a fallen contractor. She grabbed it, checked by feel. FN SCAR, full magazine, suppressor attached. Now we're talking. She shouldered the weapon, using the minimal ambient light from distant emergency lighting in the hallway. Not much, but enough. "Get the goddamn generators online," Blackwood ordered. "I want lights in 30 seconds or heads will roll. 30 seconds. That's all she had. Sloane keyed her throat mic, praying it still worked. "Odin, higher. To me." Silence. Then the soft padding of paws on concrete. Odin materialized from darkness, pressing against her leg. She felt his body warm, trembling, slightly wet with blood. Her blood. His blood. Enemy blood. "Good boy," she breathed. "We're getting out of here." But even as she said it, she knew the odds. Dozens of contractors between her and any exit. No communications, no support, wounded dog. Her own injuries making every movement agony. They were trapped. Then she heard it. Distant, muffled by concrete walls, but unmistakable. Explosions. Not inside the compound, outside. Big explosions. The kind that shook foundations and rattled teeth. Blackwood heard it too. What the hell? More explosions, closer. The warehouse shook. Dust rained from ceiling beams, then gunfire. Heavy automatic weapons, outside the compound walls, getting closer. A contractor's voice panicked. "Sir! We have contact multiple shooters north perimeter. They're static, then nothing." Sloane's radio crackled to life. Not her team frequency, a different channel, one she recognized. Ironside's voice, rough and beautiful. "Sloane Garrett, if you're receiving this transmission, stay down and stay quiet. The cavalry has arrived. We're coming in loud." Tears burned Sloane's eyes. He came. The old warrior came. "All stations, this is Ironside." The radio continued. "We have 4 shooters inbound. Preacher, you're up. Light them up." The next explosion was enormous. The entire north wall of the warehouse blew inward in a sheet of flame and flying concrete. The shockwave knocked Sloane flat. Her ears rang. The world spun. Through the gaping hole where the wall had been, silhouettes appeared. 4 figures backlit by fire, moving with practiced efficiency despite their age. Ironside and his old guard. They advanced into the warehouse like vengeful spirits. Weapons up, disciplined fire, each shot deliberate, each one dropping a contractor. The one in front, Ironside, had to be moved like a man half his age. His rifle barked in controlled pairs, center mass, headshots, professional execution. To his left, another old warrior with a Remington 700, long shot. Each trigger pull dropped a contractor at distance. Precision work, art form of violence. To the right, Doc moved with a medic's urgency and a warrior's discipline. His M4 carbine chattered in short bursts, suppressing fire, covering Ironside's advance and bringing up the rear a man with a shotgun and a smile like the devil's own. Preacher. His Mossberg boomed like thunder. Each shot removed a contractor from existence. 4 old men, combined age pushing 300, moving like they were 30 years younger. Fighting like demons. Contractors returned fire, but they were disorganized, panicked, caught between Sloane inside and Ironside's team outside. "Reaper 6, this is Ironside sound off Damirika Tom." The radio call. Sloane keyed her mic. "Ironside northeast corner, Odin is hit, but mobile multiple friendlies captured." "Roger, stay put, we're coming to you." But Blackwood had other plans. Through the chaos and gunfire, Sloane saw him moving. Not toward the fight, away from it, toward a door at the far end of the warehouse. Tactical retreat, survival instinct of a man who'd made a career of staying alive. Sloane pushed herself up despite the pain, raised the scar, lined up the shot, but contractors swarmed between them. She couldn't get clean fire without hitting potential hostages or friendlies. Odin Stellant track. Odin took off like a gray bullet, following Blackwood's scent through smoke and chaos. Sloane followed, moving as fast as her injured body allowed. Each step sent lightning through her ribs. Her vision swam, but she pushed through. Blackwood was not getting away. She burst through the door Blackwood had taken, found herself in a narrow hallway. Emergency lighting cast everything in red. Odin ahead, nose down tracking, gunfire behind her. Ironside and his team clearing the warehouse, professional, methodical, unstoppable. Sloane moved down the hall, weapon up, every corner cleared, every shadow checked, found another door, this one leading outside. She kicked it open, weapon ready. Desert night, cold air, stars overhead like frozen fire, and 30 yards away, Blackwood running toward vehicles parked beyond the compound. 3 SUVs, escape route. Odin fast. Attack. Odin exploded forward despite his wound, pure determination, pure loyalty. He closed the distance in seconds, launched at Blackwood's retreating form. The gunshot wound in his right foreleg screamed with every stride. Blood seeped through the tactical vest. But Belgian Malinois are bred for one thing above all else, loyalty that transcends pain, fear, death itself. Odin's gait was uneven, his speed reduced, but his determination absolute. Hit him mid-stride. Blackwood went down hard, rolled, came up with a knife, 8-inch blade, combat steel. He slashed at Odin. The dog yelped, dodged, came in again, jaws snapping at the knife hand. Sloane raised her rifle 40 yards, dark, moving target, wounded dog in the mix. She couldn't risk the shot. She ran instead, ignoring her body's protests, ignoring the pain, focused only on closing distance. Blackwood kicked Odin away. The dog tumbled, came up limping worse, but still growling, still ready. "Call him off!" Blackwood shouted, knife raised. "Call him off or I gut him!" Sloane stopped 20 yards away, rifle shouldered, finger on trigger. "You want him off. You're going to have to kill him. And the second you try, I put a round through your skull." Blackwood smiled, blood on his face from where Odin had tagged him. "Mexican standoff. How original." "It's over, Blackwood. Your operation is blown. Your men are dying. You've got nowhere to run." "I always have somewhere to run. Been doing this 30 years, always land on my feet." He gestured with the knife. "But before I go, I want you to understand something. Your father," he begged, at the end, begged me to let him live, to see his daughter grow up. Pathetic. Rage flooded Sloane's veins like molten steel. "You're lying." "Am I?" He cried Sloane. Actual tears, called your name. "Sloane, I love you," over and over, died crying like a baby. Blackwood's smile widened. "Just like you're going to—" The rifle shot cracked across the desert like divine judgment. Blackwood's head snapped back. A red mist exploded from his skull. His body crumpled, dropped like a puppet with cut strings, dead before he hit the ground. Sloane spun weapon ready, searching for the shooter. On the roof of the compound, maybe 200 yards away, a figure stood, rifle raised, long shot. The old sniper's voice came over the radio, calm as Sunday morning. "Target eliminated. You're welcome, Lieutenant." Sloane's legs gave out. She dropped to her knees, gasping, relief and pain and shock washing over her in waves. Odin limped to her. She wrapped her arms around him, buried her face in his fur. The dog whined softly, licking her bloodied face. "Good boy," she whispered. "Such a good boy." Footsteps behind her. Sloane turned, weapon half raising before her exhausted mind recognized the silhouette. Ironside. He walked toward her like a force of nature, steady, inevitable, unstoppable. His rifle was slung. His hands were open. He stopped 3 feet away, looked at her, at Odin, at Blackwood's corpse. "You okay, kid?" That's all it took. The words, the voice, the presence of the man who'd spent 27 years watching over her. Sloane broke. Tears came in wrenching sobs. She tried to stop them, tried to maintain composure, but everything crashed down at once, the fear, the pain, the betrayal, the truth about her father. Ironside knelt beside her, pulled her into a fierce embrace despite her blood and injuries, held her like she was 6 years old and had skinned her knee. "I got you," he rumbled. "You're safe now. I got you." Sloane clutched him. This old warrior who'd carried guilt for decades, who'd never stopped watching, never stopped protecting. "He killed my father," she choked out. "Blackwood, he killed him, murdered him." "I know. You were right. It wasn't friendly fire, it was— I know." Ironside's voice was granite and grief. "I suspected, could never prove it. But I knew in my gut, and I'm sorry. Sorry I couldn't save Thaddeus. Sorry I couldn't prove it sooner. You saved me. That's what matters." Ironside pulled back, studied her face. His weathered hand gently touched her split lip, her swollen eye. Rage flickered across his features, then control locked it down. "Doc," he called. "Get over here, Lieutenant needs medical attention." Doc appeared, medical bag already open. 66 years old, steady hands, calm demeanor. He'd seen worse, treated worse, in jungles and deserts and every hellhole between. "Let me see," he said gently. Sloane submitted to his examination. Broken ribs confirmed, concussion probable, multiple lacerations and contusions, blood loss moderate but manageable. "You'll live," Doc declared, "but you're going to hurt like hell for a month." "Story of my life," Doc smiled, pulled out combat gauze and started patching the worst wounds. Preacher appeared, his weathered face creased with satisfaction. "Warehouse is secure. 23 contractors down, 11 captured. 5 got away, but Longshot is tracking them. Your SEAL team is beat up but alive. Holloway's asking for you. And Price? Sloan asked. Commander Price. Preacher's expression darkened. Come see for yourself. He led Sloan deeper into the warehouse, in a side office illuminated by harsh portable lights. Commander Dalton Price sat at a desk, not bound, not captured, surrounded by documents, wire transfers, weapons manifests. He looked up as Sloan entered, his face drained of color. On the desk in front of him, a briefcase open filled with cash, $100 bills, stacks and stacks, his payment for tonight's delivery. Lieutenant, Price stammered, this isn't what it looks like. Sloan struggled to stand. Ironside helped her up. Together they walked back into the compound. The warehouse was lit by portable lights Ironside's team had set up. Contractors sat zip-tied against walls guarded by Longshot and his rifle. The SEAL team huddled in another corner being treated by Doc for various injuries. They were alive, beaten but breathing. And in the center of it all, on his knees with hands bound behind his back, was Commander Dalton Price. He looked up as Sloan approached. His face was pale, sweat beaded his forehead despite the cold. Lieutenant, I can explain. Sloan's fist caught him across the jaw. The punch sent fresh agony through her broken ribs, but it was worth it. Price's head snapped sideways. Blood flew from his mouth. Explain. Sloan's voice was arctic. Explain how you betrayed your oath. Explain how you sold out your own people. Explain how you sent us into a trap. They threatened my family. I had no choice. Bullshit. Ironside stepped forward, showed Price his phone, wire transfer records, millions of dollars. You volunteered. Been on their payroll for 6 years, 8 SEAL operations compromised. How many good men died because of your greed? Price's face crumbled. No more lies left. No more excuses. I just wanted to retire comfortably, he whispered. Military pension isn't enough. I gave 30 years. You deserved a firing squad, Sloan cut him off. My father died with honor. You'll die a traitor. She turned away, couldn't look at him anymore. The betrayal was too raw, too personal. Holloway limped over, scalp wound bandaged, left arm in a makeshift sling, but alive. Lieutenant Garrett, he said formally. I owe you an apology. I doubted you. Dismissed your concerns, nearly got us all killed. Sloan studied him, young, capable, but willing to admit mistakes. That counted for something. You fought well when it mattered, she said. That's enough. Holloway nodded, offered his good hand. She shook it. What now? He asked. Now we call this in, get proper authorities involved, and we make sure every one of these bastards pays for what they've done. Ironside's radio crackled. Ironside, this is Longshot. The runners are down, all 5. They won't be reporting back to anyone. Roger that. Good shooting. Sloan looked at the old warrior. You came for me. How did you know? Odin. Ironside gestured to the dog now being treated by Doc. That collar I gave him 6 months ago, it had more than GPS. Biometric sensors monitoring your vitals through a chip I had implanted in your dog tags during a routine maintenance check. When your heart rate spiked and stayed elevated when you showed signs of extreme duress. Odin activated the legacy protocol I trained him for, GPS beacon transmitted directly to me. I mobilized the old team within 30 minutes. Sloan stared. You put a tracker in my dog tags to keep you alive, and it worked. No apology in his voice. Your father asked me to watch over you. That's what I did. You magnificent paranoid bastard. Ironside smiled. Paranoia keeps you alive, kid. Thought I taught you that. Sirens wailed in the distance. Multiple vehicles approaching. Someone had called it in. FBI, probably. Maybe naval intelligence. The compound would be swarming with federal agents within minutes. Sloan looked around at the carnage. The bodies, the captured contractors, Price kneeling in defeat, the weapons cache that would be evidence in a massive corruption trial. Her father's murder would finally be acknowledged, the conspiracy exposed, justice served. But it felt hollow. Thaddeus Garrett was still dead, 27 years stolen, a lifetime of questions and lies. She walked to Blackwood's body, looked down at the man who'd murdered her father. who'd confessed with such casual cruelty, who'd died before she could make him truly pay. Was it worth it? She asked the corpse. All that money, all those bodies, was it worth dying in the dirt? No answer. Dead men don't speak. Ironside appeared beside her. He's gone. That's what matters. My father deserved better than this. Better than dying for someone else's greed. He did, but he also gave you something. Ironside pulled out a small object, a mini DV tape. Blackwood had this in his personal effects, dated February 26, 1991. 2 days before your father died, I think you should see it. Sloane took the tape with trembling hands. What is it? The truth? Or part of it, anyway. Watch it when you're ready, not before. The sirens grew louder. Headlights appeared on the horizon, multiple vehicles converging. We need to get our stories straight, Holloway said. This is going to be the biggest scandal in naval special warfare history. Sloane nodded. The truth. We tell them everything. They'll want to bury parts of it, protect reputations. Then they can try. But my father's name gets cleared, officially, publicly. That's non-negotiable. Ironside gripped her shoulder. I'll make sure of it. I've got contacts, evidence, witnesses. Your father's story will be told. The first FBI vehicles arrived. Agents poured out weapons drawn, shouting orders. Sloane and her team surrendered their weapons peacefully, allowed themselves to be secured while identities were verified. It took 6 hours to sort out. 6 hours of debriefings and medical checks and evidence collection. 6 hours of controlled chaos as the magnitude of the corruption became clear. By dawn, Sloane sat in the back of an ambulance wrapped in a blanket, Odin beside her with his leg professionally bandaged. Doc had done good work. The dog would recover fully. Ironside appeared with coffee, real coffee somehow procured from the FBI's mobile command center. Thought you could use this, he said, handing her a cup. Sloane sipped. It was terrible. Beautiful. What happens now? She asked. You recover, Odin recovers, the investigation runs its course, trials happen, some people go to prison, some people die mysteriously before they can testify, the usual. And my father gets the recognition he deserves. Medal of Honor, full military funeral with honors, his name on the memorial wall at headquarters, everything. Sloane's throat tightened. 27 years late. Better late than never. They sat in silence, watching the Kwartun rise over the Imperial Valley, orange and gold washing away the night, making the desert beautiful despite all the ugliness that had happened there. Thank you, Sloane said quietly, for everything, for keeping your promise to my father. I didn't keep it. Not really. I let him die. Ironside's voice was rough. But I made sure his daughter lived. That counts for something. It counts for everything. Odin stirred, placed his head in Sloane's lap. She stroked his ears gently. This animal who'd run through hell to save her, who'd fought despite his wounds, who'd never quit. He's a good dog, Ironside said. The best. Your father would be proud of both of you. Sloane's hand found the photo in her chest pocket, wrinkled now, stained with blood but still intact. Her father smiling, forever young, forever brave. I hope so, she whispered. 2 months later, Sloane stood on Coronado Beach at sunset, the same beach where she ran every morning, where her father's memorial stood, except now the memorial was different. New inscription, corrected history, truth finally told. Commander Thaddeus Garrett, 1961-1991, murdered while exposing corruption. Hero, patriot, father, his legacy lives through his daughter. And below that, new additions, Medal of Honor, Purple Heart, Navy Cross. The ceremony had been that morning. Full military honors, 300 attendees, generals and admirals speaking about courage and sacrifice. Her father's story finally acknowledged, finally honored. Sloane had worn her dress uniform, received the medals on his behalf, saluted as they played taps and fired the 21-gun salute. She'd cried, couldn't help it. 27 years of grief released at once. Now as the sun set, she stood alone at the memorial. Odin beside her, fully recovered, standing at attention. Ironside approached. Behind him, Doc Longshot and Preacher, the old guard, the warriors who'd refused to let her die. "Thought you could use some company," Ironside said. Sloane simmered. "Always." They stood together, 5 warriors and 1 dog, watching the Pacific turn gold, a moment of peace after years of war. "What's next for you?" Preacher asked. "I've been promoted, Lieutenant Commander, taking over the K9 training program at Special Warfare Group. Making little Odins. Something like that, teaching the next generation, making sure they understand that dogs aren't just tools, they're partners, brothers, family." Longshot nodded approval. "Your father would like that." "I think so too." A figure approached from the beach, young woman, early 20s, petty officer uniform, nervous expression. "Ma'am," she said hesitantly, "I'm Petty Officer Harper Sinclair. I'm starting K9 handler training next week. Already picked out my dog, Belgian Malinois, named Ajax. Reminded me of your Odin. I saw you at the ceremony this morning. I just wanted to say, what your father did, what you did, it matters. It shows that doing the right thing matters even when it costs everything." Sloane studied her, saw herself years ago, young, idealistic, believing that honor meant something. She still believed it, despite everything. "What's your story, Petty Officer Sinclair?" "My brother was killed in Afghanistan. IED. The K9 unit that should have been with his patrol was pulled for another mission. Budget cuts, political decisions. He died because someone decided dogs were expendable." Her voice hardened. "I joined to make sure that never happens again." Sloane extended her hand. "Then you and I are going to get along just fine. Report to my office Monday morning, 0700. Don't be late." Sinclair's face lit up. "Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am." She saluted and jogged away, energy and determination radiating from every step. Doc chuckled. "She reminds me of someone." "Yeah," Sloane said. "Me too." They stood in silence a bit longer. Then Ironside spoke, voice soft. "Your father told me something once, the night before he died. He said, if I don't make it back, make sure Sloane knows that every warrior falls eventually. But the ones who matter, they fall fighting for something bigger than themselves." Sloane's eyes burned. He knew. He knew they were going to kill him. I think he suspected. But he went anyway. Because that's what warriors do. We face the enemy even when the odds are impossible. Even when we know we might not come home. Because some things are worth dying for. "Honor," Sloane said. "Honor," Ironside agreed. The sun dipped below the horizon. Stars began appearing in the darkening sky. The same stars that had guided warriors for thousands of years. That would guide them for thousands more. Sloane saluted her father's memorial one last time, then turned away. "Come on, Odin, let's go home." The dog fell into step beside her. Perfect companion, perfect warrior. Behind them, Ironside and his old guard remained at the memorial, paying respects, honoring the fallen, making sure that sacrifice wasn't forgotten. As Sloane walked down the beach, she thought about the tape Ironside had given her. Her father's final message. She'd watched it 100 times, knew every word by heart. "Sloane, my beautiful daughter, if you're watching this, I'm gone. But know that I died fighting evil, fighting corruption, fighting for something that matters. Don't grieve for me. Be proud. Be strong. Be the warrior I raised you to be, and know that every day of my life, every breath I took was made worthwhile because I was your father. I love you. Always. Forever. Until the stars fall from the sky." She would honor that, would live up to that, would make sure his sacrifice meant something, would teach the next generation that honor wasn't old-fashioned, that duty wasn't weakness, that warriors who stood for something bigger than themselves were the ones who truly mattered. She was Sloane Garrett, daughter of Commander Thaddeus Garrett, Lieutenant Commander, United States Navy, SEAL, K9 handler, warrior. And she would never quit. The beach stretched before her. Odin at her side, the Pacific waves rolling eternal. and somewhere in the stars above her father watching. Proud, always proud. She smiled through tears and walked toward home. 3 years later, Sloane Garrett sat in her office at Naval Special Warfare Group reviewing training reports. Outside her window, she could see the K-9 training course. 20 handlers working with their dogs, professional, disciplined, building the bonds that would save lives in combat. Odin slept in the corner, officially retired but still coming to work every day. Old now, gray around the muzzle but content. A knock at her door. "Enter." Petty Officer Harper Sinclair stepped in. 3 years older, hardened by deployments, but still that fire in her eyes. "Ma'am, my team just got back from Syria. K-9 unit detected 3 IEDs that would have killed 20 Marines. Command wants to put Ajax in for a commendation." Sloane smiled. "Ajax deserves it. So do you. Good work, Petty Officer." "Thank you, ma'am. Learned from the best." After Sinclair left, Sloane looked at the photo on her desk. Her father in dress whites. Beside it, a photo of her and Ironside at her promotion ceremony. Beside that, Odin receiving his military commendation. Family. All of them. Her phone buzzed. Text from Ironside. "Dinner tonight. The old crew wants to celebrate your promotion to commander. Bring the dog." Sloane texted back, "We'll be there." She stood, stretched, walked to the window. Watched the handlers and their dogs training. Building partnerships that would endure anything. This was her father's legacy. Her mission. Her purpose. Teaching the next generation that loyalty mattered. That honor mattered. That warriors who stood for something bigger than themselves were the ones who changed the world. She had been asked once in the darkness of that warehouse, "Who's going to save you?" She'd learned the answer. She didn't need saving. She had her training, her loyalty, her brothers and sisters in arms, and a dog who'd run through hell without hesitation. That was enough. That would always be enough. Sloane Garrett smiled and returned to work. A warrior's work was never done, but that's what made it worth doing, forever.